7. Cell structure and function. Can you name something that you know exists even though you can't see it with your eyes? A drop of pond water has tiny swimming organisms and small bits of plant material, but we can't always see them with our eyes. How do we know there are tiny things in a drop of pond water? We can use a microscope to view the pond water. There are instruments people use every day to help them see things they wouldn't usually be able to see. Have you ever used a pair of binoculars or a magnifying glass? Have you ever had an X-ray taken of an injury? Do you need to wear glasses or contact lenses to see clearly? Vision systems are even being developed to restore vision to blind people. In this chapter, you will take a journey into a small world that was discovered when the microscope was invented, the world of the cell. Imagine you could shrink yourself and walk into a tiny cell. What is inside a cell? It's a fascinating journey. What are cells? Look closely at the skin on your arm. Can you see what it's made of? Of course not. Your skin cells are much too small to see with your eyes. Now look at 1 square centimeter of your arm. That square centimeter contains about 100,000 skin cells. Cells are so small that they weren't even discovered until the invention of the microscope. What are cells and how were they discovered? A cell is the basic unit of structure and function in a living thing. Your body is composed of billions of cells. You have skin cells, muscle cells, nerve cells, blood cells, and many other types as well. Each type of cell has unique structure and function, but they all share similarities. Figure 7.1 shows pictures of different types of cells found in your body. Each cell in your body shares characteristics of all living things. Each cell can respond, grow, reproduce, and use energy. Like larger organisms, cells respond to changes in their surroundings in ways that keep them alive. In Chapter 2, we learned that this process is called homeostasis. We learn about cells. It all started with the invention of the microscope in the late 1500s. English scientist Robert Hooke was the first to record his observation of cells. In 1663, he took a thin slice of cork and placed it under a microscope that he built. Cork is made from the bark of a cork oak tree, but its cells are no longer alive. Hooke made detailed sketches of his observations. An artist's version of one of his sketches is shown in Figure 7.2. Hooke called each of the square structures a cell because they reminded him of tiny rooms. Antoine van Leeuwenhoek was not a scientist. He was a Dutch craftsman who made lenses, yet with skill and curiosity. Van Leeuwenhoek made some of the most important discoveries in biology. He used his lenses to build a simple microscope. With his microscope, he looked at pond water, blood, scrapings from his own teeth. He was the first to observe single-celled protists, blood cells, and bacteria. As microscopes improved, scientists made other discoveries. In 1839, 2 German scientists, Matthias Schleiden and Theodor Schwann, viewed plant and animal tissue under a microscope. They concluded that all plant and animals were made up of cells. A new technique is called fluorescent microscope. Cells usually do not glow. Scientists use fluorescent proteins to make cells glow. The cells absorb these proteins like stains. The fluorescent microscope uses filters that only let in light that matches the fluorescing material being studied. All other types of light are blocked out. The fluorescing areas shine out against the area of dark background, making certain cell structures glow. The mouse eggs in Figure 7.3 have been treated to show DNA as a glowing blue. Cell theory. Schleiden and Schwann's theory was widely accepted by other scientists. But where did cells come from? In the late 1800s, it was believed that living things came from non-living things. Did cells come from some tiny non-living objects? In 1855, a German physician named Rudolf Virchow proposed that cells can only come from other cells. The work of Hooke, Leeuwenhoek, Schleiden, Schwann, and Virchow, and others led to an important theory in life science. The cell theory explains the relationship between living things. There are 4 parts. Number 1, all living things are made of 1 or more cells. 2, cells come from only existing cells. 3, all of an organism's life functions occur within cells. And 4, cells contain hereditary information for regulating cell function and for giving information to the next generation. Among cells. Some organisms are made of only one cell. You are made of billions of cells. In multicellular organisms, like you, there are many different types of specialized cells. For example, the cells that line the retina of your eye have a structure and function that is very different from your skin cells. About 200 different types of specialized cells make up the tissues and organs of your body. Even though there are many different types of cells, they all share similar characteristics. Figure 7.4. These include 1. All cells are surrounded by a cell membrane. The cell membrane is a barrier between the inside of the cell and its environment. It also controls the movement of material into and out of the cell. 2. All cells contain organelles. An organelle is a structure inside of a cell that helps the cell perform its functions. Although all cells contain organelles, they don't all contain the same kinds. You'll learn more about the organelles in the next section. 3. All cells contain cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a fluid mixture that contains the organelles. It also contains the compounds cells need to survive, such as water, salts, enzymes, and other carbon compounds. 4. All cells contain DNA. The cell theory states that all cells come from other cells. When cells reproduce, they make copies of their DNA and pass it on to new cells. DNA contains the instructions for making new cells that controls all cell functions. Classifying cells. Based on the organization of their structure, all living cells can be classified into two groups, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Figure 7.5. Animals, plants, and fungi and protozoans are all eukaryotic cells. Only bacteria have prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells do not have a nucleus. The word prokaryotic means before nucleus in Greek. Scientists believe that all life on Earth came from these cells. The oldest fossils of bacteria are estimated to be 3.5 billion years old. The DNA in a prokaryotic cell is bunched up in the center of the cell. The organelles are not covered with a membrane. All prokaryotic cells are much smaller than eukaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells have a nucleus and membrane-covered organelles, with the exception of the red blood cells of mammals. The word eukaryotic means true nucleus in Greek. The oldest fossils of eukaryotic cells are about 2 billion years old. There is more DNA in these types of cells, and it is found in the nucleus. These cells have membrane-covered organelles. They tend to be about 10 times larger than prokaryotic cells.